is required first of all for function of more number of variables. Okay, now you know that if your function is y equal to fx, then you can find the derivative of y with respect to x, isn't it? You can find y with respect to x. But if you have, say, more number of variables, say x, y, or x, y, z, then also you can find the derivative of z. Now, suppose you have a function like this. For example, z is f of xy. So here z is function of two variables, x and y. Okay. So in this case, we differentiate z partially with respect to x or partially with respect to y, because when you are differentiating means what you are doing, you are considering a rate of change of one variable with respect to others. What is the meaning of differentiation? Differentiation means rate of change of variable with respect to other, one variable with respect to other. So if there is one variable, this is called as the dependent variable, right? And here x and y, these are called as the independent variables. So when you have one dependent variable and it is depending on more number of independent variables, then whatever differentiation we get, that is called as a partial derivative, right? So let me write down the definition. When a dependent variable depends upon more than one independent variable, we can find rate of change of dependent variable with respect to each independent variable. Okay, we can find the rate of change of dependent variable with respect to each independent variable. And this is called as partial differentiation. Okay. So for example, if you are considering the volume, say volume of a parallelopipe. Now, can anybody tell me what is the formula for volume of a parallelopipe? A parallelopipe is such kind of a figure. We will have one rectangle, then another rectangle, right? And it is joined. This is the parallelopipe. What is the volume of this parallelopipe? Does anybody remember the formula? What is the volume of the parallelopipe? Suppose the length of the parallelopipe is L, breadth is B, and height is H. So what is the volume of the parallelopipe? Yes, it is L into B into H. Okay, L into B into H. So how many dependent variables are there? So here there is only one dependent variable. So V is the dependent variable and L, B, H, all these are independent variables. These are the independent variables. So here I can find the rate of change of the volume with respect to length, with respect to breadth, with respect to height. Okay, so this process is called as the partial differentiation. Now, see, in case of one variable, you have defined the derivative after learning about the continuity, right? So same as that of continuity of the one variable, there is a continuity of more number of variables also. So continuity of function of say two variables. So let z equal to f of xy be a function of two variables, right? So it is said to be continuous at the point a comma b. Okay, continuous if, now if you remember the definition of continuous function for one variable, just tell me in short, when we say that a function of one variable is continuous, tell me students, when we say that a function of one variable is continuous, tell me. Remember, if fx is function, y is function of x, that is y equal to fx, and we want to check whether it is continuous at x equal to a or not. So when we say that it is continuous at a, there are two conditions. What are those two conditions? First condition is Prathamesh has given its limit as x tend to a exists. That is correct. But for continuity, one more thing is required. What is that? What is the another condition for continuity? Yes, and it is equal to the value of fx at x equal to a, right? So a function is said to be continuous if its limit exists and the value of the limit equal to f of means f of a, that is value of the function at x equal to a. So similarly here f of xy is said to be continuous if limit of f of xy as x tend to a and y tend to b, we have to take this limit, right, is equal to f of ab. So limit should exist, that I haven't written, it is understood now in this condition that limit should exist and it should be equal to the value of the function at a comma b. Now see students, in case of one variable, okay, so if y equal to fx is your function, here you have a, so limit of fx as x tend to a exists if the left limit and right limit both are same. Okay, so here x tend to a from negative side, here x tend to a from positive side. If both these limits are same as x tend to a from negative side, if both these are same, we say that limit exists. Okay, now in the same manner, here you have a function of two variables, right? So this is for function of one variable. If your function is of two variables, right, then you will not have a straight line, but there will be a domain, certain kind of domain. And here you have the point a comma b, right? Now x comma y can approach to a comma b in infinitely many directions, right? So if limit along each direction is same, then we say that the limit exists. Now this is a again separate theory. The BSc students learns this theory in detail because science people, they learn the concepts in detail, and what the engineering students do, engineering students apply the concept to solve their problems. So now what we'll do, we'll consider this concept as it is. We'll not go in depth of how to find the limit and when it is equal for all directions and how to get it for all directions. We are not going to discuss all those things, but just you need to know that for one variable case, we consider only left and right limit, but for two variable case, we have to consider the limit along infinitely many directions, and those limits must be equal for the function to be continuous, right? Now, whichever problem will be given to you, that will satisfy all these conditions, and you'll not have to worry about how to find the limit, etc. Okay, so function of two variables. So here the limit is so the function f of xy is continuous at ab if limit of fxy as x tend to a, y tend to b exists along all the directions of xy approaching to A beam and so if the limit exists along all the directions of xy approaching to AB and the value of limit is same for all directions. Okay. So if this limit is same, then we say that the limit of the function of number of variables exists, right? So this is about the limit. And now if this limit is equal to the value of the function, then function will be continuous. Now let me define the partial derivative. I have given the non-mathematical definition to you, means simple definition in simple words, but exactly how to put it in mathematical form, let us see that. So partial derivative. For that, you recall the ordinary derivative definition. If your y is fx, then the ordinary derivative. Now, in order to distinguish between these two, I'll call the regular derivative as ordinary derivative and this derivative as partial. So how we define the ordinary derivative? Dy by dx. Can anybody tell me the definition? Prathamesh is asking me, how will there be more than two direction in mathematics? There are only more direction in mathematics. There are only two directions, positive and negative. See, positive and negative is the case in case of real line. That is, real line is a one-dimensional line, right? There you have left and right side only. But if you have a domain in two dimensions, then at a point, one can approach to one point from infinitely many directions. Okay. So there are infinitely many directions. When you are on the real line, there are only two directions, left and right. But when you are in two dimensions, there are infinitely many directions, definitely. Okay, now can anybody tell me how to define dy by dx? How to define dy by dx? Yes. In terms of limit, what is the definition of dy by dx? Does anybody remember? You know that derivative is change in y upon change in x, right? So change in x means we write it as x plus h minus x. Do you remember? And then change in y, corresponding y. What is y? Y is f of x plus h minus fx, right? And then we have to take the limit as extend to 0. Do you all remember this? So what is the derivative dy by dx? It is limit extending to 0 f of x plus h minus fx upon h. Is it clear to you? I mean, it is already clear to you actually. This you have studied in 11th and 12th standard. You have calculated the derivative using the first rule. This is the first rule of finding derivative, right? I'm writing it because you can then relate it with the extended case, right? So this is for one variable case. Now, if your function is of two variables, so if your z is function of x and y, is a function of two variables, then we can find derivative of z with respect to x as well as y. Okay. For example, if I consider the rectangle and area of the rectangle, then there will be change in the area of the rectangle as the length changes, as well as there will be change in the area of the rectangle as well whenever the breadth changes, right? So you can find rate of change of area of rectangle with respect to length as well as with respect to breadth, isn't it? So in the same line, if z is f of xy, you can find the derivative of z with respect to x as well as y. Now see students, I am going to define a new concept here. Pay attention carefully and try to understand. Okay, so now the rate of change of z with respect to x, right? With respect to x, keeping the other variable y constant is denoted by dabba z by dabba x. Okay, few people call it as dou z by dou x. Prathamesh, I'll explain it graphically. Wait. So it is denoted by dabba z by dabba x, right? Now there are few more notations. I'll give those notations later on, and is defined as dabba z by dabba x is limit as x tending to h. Definition is same, right? It is f of x plus h, f of x plus h comma y. You are treating y as constant, so it will be as it is minus f of x comma y upon the difference between the x coordinate, that is h. So this is dabba z by dabba x. Okay. Now similarly, dabba z by dabba y is defined as dabba z by dabba y equal to limit k tending to 0. This is increment in y coordinate. Okay, k tending to 0, and then it is f of x comma y plus k minus f of x comma y upon k. So this is called as the partial derivative of z with respect to y. Now here this dabba z by dabba x, dabba z by dabba y are called as first order partial derivatives. These are called as the first order partial derivatives of z with respect to x and y respectively. Okay, these are called as the first order partial derivatives with respect to x and y respectively. Now the other notations are this partial derivative dabba z by dabba x is also sometimes denoted by z suffix x. This is the notation which I like very much because it saves you a space of writing. It makes your calculations not means small in length, and therefore this is very useful. So try to understand this notation. Okay, dabba z by dabba x, how we denote it? We denote it by zx. Now as z is function of xy, it is f of xy, so we can denote it by dabba f by dabba x, or we can denote it by fx also. So these are the notations. Okay, so how we have defined dabba z by dabba x? It is limit extending to h of f of x plus h comma y. Now see, Vaibhav, I'm repeating. It is limit extending to h of f of x plus h comma y minus f of xy. Means give the increment to the x coordinate, keep the y coordinate constant, right? Take the difference between those two values and divide it by the difference in x value. That is called as dabba z by dabba x. Okay. Similarly, we can define dabba z by dabba y. Now, Prathamesh is continuously asking me how we can take the limit along infinitely many directions. Okay, so Prathamesh, I'll show you this diagram again. See, when you are in 2 dimensions, right? You are taking limit of xy as limit of function f of xy as xy tend to AB, right? So a comma b is a point in plane, right? So x comma y can approach to AB in infinitely many directions. For example, I can draw the diagram like this. This is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. Suppose your AB is nothing but 0, 0, right? Your AB is nothing 0, 0. And xy is any point, xy is any point here in the plane, right? So this is one point xy, this will be other, this will be other, this will be other, etc., etc. So xy can tend to this 0, 0 in this direction, in this direction, in this direction. Just a minute. Let me take a fixed point first. So this is your point xy. So xy can tend to AB in this direction along a straight line, right? Or it can tend to 0, 0 along any other curved line also, isn't it? So xy can tend to 0, 0 along this path, along this path, along this path, along this path, and so on. So there are so many directions in which xy can tend to AB. And therefore, in order to find the limit of the function or checking in order to check the continuity of the function, we have to consider the derivative in infinitely many limit in infinitely many directions. But again, I'm telling you, you don't have to worry about how to find this limit. That is a part of science students. They learn this topic in detail. You people have to understand the concept of partial derivative and how to find it. Ganesh, you will understand it once I solve one example. I'm sure every student will understand it once I solve one example. So we have defined the partial derivative with respect to x. It is f of x plus h minus fx upon h. And dabba z by dabba y is f of x comma y plus k minus f of xy upon k. So here increment is given to the x coordinate and taken the difference and divided by the h value. Here increment is given to y coordinate and divided by k and then taken the limit. X is kept as constant when you are differentiating partially with respect to y, and y is kept as constant when you are differentiating partially with respect to z. Okay. Now, here also in dabba z by dabba y, you can write limit k h tending to 0 and f of x comma y plus h minus f of xy. No problem. But just to distinguish between the two, I have taken h variable as the increment in x and k variable for the increment in y. Okay, that is just a part of notation. There is nothing else. Okay, now let us see what is the geometrical interpretation. Geometrical interpretations. Now, see students, I'll always write down it for the case of one variable. So, if y equal to fx is one variable function, okay, what does dy by dx represent? Tell me. You know this, you have studied it. What does dy by dx geometrically represent? So, y equal to fx is a curve, right? Y equal to fx is some curve. This is y equal to fx. So what is dy by dx represent? Yes, it represents the slope. Slope of what? Slope of, suppose you are finding the derivative at this point, x equal to a. So here you have a, right? So what does it represent? Slope of the tangent to the curve at that point, right? Yes, so dy by dx represents the slope of tangent to the curve of fx at x equal to a. This gives you the slope of the tangent to the curve. Now let us see, this is for one variable. Now if your function is of two variables, so if z equal to f of xy is a function of two variables, okay, it is a function of two variables. So now in case of function of two variables, I'll have to show it in the three-dimensional figure. Okay, this is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this is the z-axis, right? And now f of xy represents a surface. Okay, is a function of two variables which represents a surface in three dimension. Function of f of xy represent a surface in three dimension. So if you have such kind of a surface in three dimension, now let me take that surface in this form. It can be of any shape. Let me take such kind of a surface, right? Such kind of a surface. So what does dabba z by dabba x represent, right? So the representation is like this. It can be proved, but again I am telling, we are not interested in learning the proofs of all these things. We are interested in applying the theories to solve our problems, right? So now see, if you are finding dabba z by dabba x, then it represents the slope of tangent to the curve. Which curve? Slope of tangent to the curve of intersection of, it is a curve of intersection of the surface z equal to fxy and the plane which is parallel to ZOX plane. Students, it's not difficult to understand the interpretation. It may be difficult to derive the interpretation, but not difficult to understand the interpretation. See what it is. Dabba z by dabba x. So first of all, this curve is of, sorry, this surface is of f of xy. Okay, this surface represents z equal to f of xy. Now dabba z by dabba x is what? It is a slope of tangent to the curve. Now from where to get that curve? It is curve of intersection of this surface with a plane. Now, how can you visualize intersection of a surface with a plane? How to visualize intersection of a surface with a plane? The simple technique is, you just imagine that you have a lemon with you and you are cutting it with a knife. So that knife is the plane and the lemon is the surface. You're cutting the lemon with the knife, and then what will be the intersection part? Which part will be there on the knife and the lemon? That will be your curve. So that is called as the curve of intersection. Okay. So when I now this lemon you are considering, but don't consider the solid lemon. You can consider only the surface of the lemon, right? If you consider the solid lemon, it will be a 3D figure. So consider only the surface of the lemon when you are cutting it by a knife, right? So there will be some intersection of the knife and the lemon, and that will be your curve. So you get, suppose this, and you are cutting it with a so such kind of intersection, right? So this is the intersection curve. Now to find the slope of tangent called as the partial derivative dabba z by x. It is slope of the tangent. It is a curve obtained by taking intersection of the surface with the plane. Okay. Now, in the same manner, if you want to derive dabba z by dabba y interpretation, what you'll have to do? In order to derive the dabba z by dabba y interpretation, you will have to consider a plane which is parallel to ZOY plane, right? And then you will have to cut the surface with it. Okay, so this is the interpretation. So similarly, dabba z by dabba y represents the slope of tangent to the curve of intersection of the surface Can anybody tell me which plane? Parallel to ZOY plane. Okay. So this is the theory regarding the interpretation, etc. Now let us see what are the rules. See students, rules of partial differentiation are same as the regular derivative. Okay. So these are similar to ordinary derivative. Okay. For example, so let U and V are functions of x and y. That is, U equal to f1 xy, V equal to some function f2 xy. Right? Like this. First is the derivative of summation rule. Right? So what is dabba by dabba x of U? V dabba x plus dabba V by dabba x. What is dabba by dabba x of U minus V? Negative. Okay. Second rule. If you are finding dabba by dabba x of U, this type of calculation you are going to dabba by dabba x of UV. Tell me what it means. Do you remember the product rule? Yes, students. Remember the product rule? What is dabba by dabba x of UV? Can anybody tell me what is UV rule? Okay, you can raise your hand and then I'll allow you to unmute and answer. Because it may be difficult for you to type in the chat box. Yeah, still few students have typed it. Okay, okay. So Sahil, can you tell me what can be the rule for partial derivative of U into V?
U into derivative of V, V into derivative.
Right. So it is U into dabba V by dabba x plus V into dabba V by, V into dabba U by dabba x, right? That was correct. V into dabba U by dabba x, right? So similarly, dabba by dabba y of UV is nothing but U into dabba V by dabba y plus V into dabba U by dabba y. If there is the quotient of U and V, okay, now who is ready to give the quotient rule for regular? Shinde, it is not V double dash, it is V dash. Okay, maybe you are unable to type dash, but it is UV dash plus U dash V. But the meaning is it is, okay, Ganesh, tell me.
U into derivative of
rule?
V. U into derivative of V minus V into derivative of U divided by V square.
No. Order is different. What is the correct order? We write the V first. V into derivative of U, isn't it?
Minus U into derivative of V.
Right. And divided by
V square.
V square, correct. So you write in ordinary derivative du by dx. Here we write dabba u by dabba x, right? Rest of the things are same. Okay. Then the next is dabba by dabba x of the constant function is 0 as usual, right? Then if you want to take the derivative of k will come out, and then you take the derivative of u, etc. So these are all the rules. Then the regular chain rule is also there. Means if you are finding derivative of dabba by dabba x of, say, now that I can explain in the example only, the chain rule. I'll not explain it here. That will become complicated. Okay. So these are the rules. So let us start the examples. Simple examples I'll tell you. And then we'll see how to find the derivative of the composite functions and etc. Okay. So let us solve few examples. First example. If z equal to say sine of x plus y, right? Sine of x plus y. Then what is the derivative? Dabba z by dabba x. What it will be now? Derivative of sine is cos. So it will be simply cos of x plus y. Okay. If I give you the function as z equal to cos of 3x plus 4y, like this, 3x plus 4y. Yeah, Preeti is asking if we get the answer from ordinary derivative rule, then why to use this? See, Preeti, ordinary derivative rules and these rules are similar, they are not same. The major difference is in ordinary derivative, you have only one variable, and in partial differentiation, you have two variables. So while differentiating with respect to one variable, you are treating the other variable as constant. That you have to remember. Okay. So this, you need to understand this, isn't it? There is a difference. Okay. Now what is dabba z by dabba x? Now derivative of cos is minus sine. It is 3x plus 4y as it is. But now see, we have to use the chain rule, right? What is the chain rule? Now x is multiplied with 3. So we have to multiply this answer by 3. So my answer will be minus 3 sine 3x plus 4y. Okay. Now, if I have to find the dabba z by dabba y value, can anybody tell me what it is? Immediately, what is dabba z by dabba y? Raise your hand, I'll ask you to unmute and answer. Yes, Shruti Patil has answered it correctly. Okay, okay. Ojas, what will be the derivative?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, Ojas, what will be the derivative dabba z by dabba y?
Minus 4 of sine of
Minus 4 sine
sine
of
of 3x plus 4y.
Sine of 3x plus 4y, right? Because your y is multiplied with 4, so we have to multiply it with 4. That's all. Okay. Now the third example. If I give you z equal to say x square plus y square raised to half. Okay. That is root of x square plus y square, which is root of x square plus y square. Can you tell me what is dabba z by dabba x? Now, what is derivative of root t? What is the derivative of root t? It is 1 upon 2 root t, correct? Root x has derivative 1 upon 2 root x. So similarly, root of x square plus y square, its derivative will be 1 upon 2 root of x square plus y square and dabba by dabba x of x square plus y square, right? I have to take the derivative of the bracket. Now in the bracket, I have to treat y as a constant. So this is equal to 1 upon 2 root x square plus y square into, what is partial derivative of x square plus y square? X square has derivative 2x, right? And what is the derivative of y square with respect to x? Now, when we differentiate partially with respect to x, we treat y as a constant. And derivative of constant is, Shruti, what is derivative of constant? Everybody has to answer. I'm asking you very simple questions. Derivative of constant is 0. So it will be 2x plus 0. So this 2x upon 2 root x square plus y square is the derivative of root of x square plus y square. 2 gets cancelled and it is x upon root of x square plus y square. Okay. Now, similarly, dabba z by dabba y. What it will be? What will be the value for dabba z by dabba y? Again, it is root of x square plus y square. So derivative will be 1 upon 2 root x square plus y square into, now it is dabba by dabba y of x square plus y square, right? So dabba by dabba y of x square plus y square is x square has derivative 0, y square has derivative 2y. So it is 2y upon 2 root x square plus y square, 2 getting cancelled. So answer is y upon root of x square plus y square. This is dabba z by dabba y. Now student, I want you to observe something here. Okay. So what is the observation? The observation is, in dabba z by dabba x, we are getting x upon root of x square plus y square. In dabba z by dabba y, we are getting y upon root of x square plus y square. Why it is so? Yeah, denominator is same. In numerator, there is x in first and there is y in second, right? So only x and y are replaced. Otherwise, answer is same. Am I right? Only x and y are interchanged. Correct. Correction. So why it is happening like this? The reason is your
नमस्ते सदा वत्सले मातृभूमे नमस्ते सदा वत्सले